Hey guys, we're going to compare Alcaraz to Djokovic's backhand and let's see some of the differences. So we can notice right off the bat, during the take back, Alcaraz, his racket is not pointed towards the back fence as much as Djokovic's. It's a little angled off to the side instead of pointing more straight back. And the other thing is, Djokovic's strings are facing the side fence here, whereas Alcaraz's strings, they're facing a little bit forward. So they're facing a little bit towards the net and he keeps that position. And it's not an optimal position. If we look at all the best backhands in history, for example, Zverev's backhand, Nishikori's backhand, Nalbandian's backhand, they all have the classic strings facing the left side fence. So this starting position is not optimal for Alcaraz already. His racket never achieves a vertical position, so it's never straight up like Djokovic's is. And as a result, this causes somewhat of a loosey-goosey type of backswing. It doesn't look as tight and secure. All right, guys. So I just wanted to explain real quick the difference between Alcaraz and Djokovic's backhand from a back view, and pretend this mirror is my tennis racket. So with Djokovic's backswing, notice how you can't really see much of the glass part of the mirror. You can only see the frame from the back view. Whereas what Alcaraz is doing is he has his racket over here. So as he takes it back, notice how you can see the frame. And then last minute he whips. This is not ideal. So what Alcaraz is doing is he has too much of a neutral left wrist. Notice how if I cock my left wrist, notice how the racket tip points back more, whereas if I don't, it's kind of over here. And the other thing he's doing is, as he takes it back, he's kind of turning his forearm down. That's called pronating, when you turn your forearm such that your palm faces more the ground. So he's, instead of being more like this, he's rotating his left arm like this, which is not a good thing either. And he has too low of a take back, at least in this clip. He kind of changes his backhand from time to time, but in this clip, he's too much like this. And when you don't bring your racket tip back far enough, I notice on the backhand, I've seen this with lots of recreational players, it causes timing issues because you have to go from here and then you just whip last second. So his shot kind of looks like a little bit like that, as opposed to being more like this in this position and then going into it. Just aesthetically, the look of Djokovic's take back is better. He's coiled more, his arms are taken back further. If we compare the end of the backswing position before the drop starts happening, notice how Djokovic's left arm is wrapped further behind his body, whereas Alcaraz's left arm, it's not as far back. It should be back here, ideally, to get even more coil. We can also tell that Alcaraz's left arm isn't as far back because if we compare the shoulder to shoulder line of Alcaraz and Djokovic, you can see that Djokovic is, I'd say they're about similarly coiled, but comparing the upper arm position, Djokovic's upper arm compared to his shoulder to shoulder plane is further back than Alcaraz's. So I know this is just the preparation before they hit the ball, but it is very important because it sets up what will happen as you go down towards to meet the ball. And if you don't have optimal preparation, that's going to ripple into the rest of the shot. in terms of the side-to-side orientation, here it's pretty straight up at the end of the backswing, and then it just goes from there. It just goes pretty much straight down to start. Whereas Alcaraz's racket again is traveling sideways while it's also going back and down. Okay, so now let's get into this position here. Okay, so if we watch this through a couple times, notice how Alcaraz's backswing, he doesn't really have a set point. A set point is where the racket is going back and then it pauses just for a split second before it starts dropping back and down. Whereas Djokovic does have a set point. Watch how right here is where Djokovic's racket almost stops. But a key thing is you don't want to, ideally, you actually don't want to like hold it there, because then you'll lose a lot of the momentum from taking the racket back. So you don't want to hold it there too long. But I do notice Djokovic and a lot of other top backhands, they do have they have the slightest pause there, the slightest set point, whereas I don't notice that with Alcaraz's. And this leads into the second point, which is notice how Djokovic's arm and racket are already at the maximal point of coil right here at the end of the takeback before the racket drop starts happening, okay? Whereas if we look at Alcaraz, we can see as he starts dropping the racket, he's also having to move the racket back. So his arms are also going this way because he hasn't fully coiled yet. So yeah, it's just really a matter of Alcaraz doesn't take his arms and racket back far enough before he starts his racket drop. Okay, so what we're going to see here is one of the main issues with Alcaraz's backhand, and Felix Auger-Aliassime also has the same issue, but to a much worse degree than Alcaraz. Alcaraz isn't that bad, but notice how Alcaraz's hands pull forward. Notice the timing of when it pulls forward. It pulls forward here. You can see his right arm pulling forward here. And it pulls forward before he really starts uncoiling his upper body. So you see he hasn't started really uncoiling his upper body, yet his arms are still moving forward. Now he's starting to uncoil his upper body, but the main issue is just that his hands are going slightly prematurely in front of his body, or relative to his body. And you always want to lead with body first and then arms coming around. I'll show a clip of the lock and roll phenomenon, where when you twist and rotate your hips and your core and your body, your arms will naturally follow. Your body has to be the primary source of rotation.
Now I want you to envision this drum as the human body, the handle as the legs, the drum as the core of the body, the strings as the arms. Notice when I rotate the handle back and forth, the strings move effortlessly, hitting the drum. Now I'll be demonstrating how the human body moves like the drum. Shoulders and arms relaxed. Rotate your hips back and forth. And notice how when I rotate my hips, my arms move effortlessly. And if you also pay close attention, there's a slight delay of movement from my arms after I rotate my hips.
Now, if we look at Djokovic Instead, on the right side, notice how Djokovic's left elbow stays closer tucked in to his left side. His left arm isn't pulling independently of his body as much as Alcaraz's. It's more tightly connected to his upper body uncoiling. So that is the main difference. And I know it's very subtle, but it makes a huge impact. Every millimeters are miles in tennis. All right, guys, this video is getting kind of long now, so I'm going to wrap this up. And part 2 will be coming real short. I'm going to be dropping some real gems in the next few videos, guys. So please like and comment. And here are my social media handles if you need to message me. All right, have a great day, guys. Peace.